everyone, Rossana here with Hazel. Say hi, Hazel.
Hi guys.
So in case you didn't know this, because I myself just learned this like a few days ago, the month of August is Breastfeeding Awareness Month. I, for one, am so excited that it gets an entire month because there seriously needs to be awareness brought up for breastfeeding. In my experience, breastfeeding was a million times harder than labor and delivery was. You know, I kind of expected labor to hurt and giving birth to hurt as well, but I didn't really expect that I'd have any issues with breastfeeding. So when I was pregnant, I did a lot of research on being pregnant, pregnancy and giving birth, and when the baby's here, but I didn't really do much research on breastfeeding because I figure, hey, you know, our bodies were made to have babies, our bodies were made to breastfeed, it's just gonna happen naturally. Boy, was I wrong about that. So in this video, I really want to share my breastfeeding journey, what I experienced and what I learned. As I was going through it, I seriously felt like I was the only person in the world going through it at the time, and I was just so emotional and so frustrated, borderline depressed about it. But then as I talked to more of my mommy friends, I realized what I went through wasn't all that unique. A lot of people went through what I went through. I guess because we don't talk about it that often, because talking about breastfeeding is a bit taboo, I never really knew what to expect. It totally hit me like a ton of bricks while I was going through it. That's why I'm so glad that there was an entire month dedicated to bringing awareness to breastfeeding because it is so necessary. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't cry because I was so emotional throughout this whole experience. So fast forward to the night that Hazel was born. I had it in my birth plan that I wanted to do skin to skin immediately and I wanted to breastfeed immediately. So that's what the nurses did. They put her onto my skin and I cuddled with her and it was great. Then another nurse came in and was like, "Are you ready for breastfeeding?" And I'm like, "Yeah, totes." As soon as Hazel latched on, I was like, ow, that really hurt. Mind you, I had just pushed her out of my vagina. Her latching onto my nipple was like the most painful thing ever. And I was like, is this supposed to hurt? And the nurse was kind of like, she just kind of like laughed it off. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess this is what it's gonna be like. So that night and then the next day when I was still in the hospital, every hour or so, the hospital lactation specialist would come in and be like, all right, are you ready to start breastfeeding again? And I was like, sure. But not really looking forward to it because it hurt so much. I went home that night and continued to breastfeed as best I could. The first couple days home were so frustrating. I don't even know how to explain the emotions that I felt when it came to breastfeeding. Basically, as the hours went on, I could just feel like my motherly instincts were telling me that my baby was not getting fed and I was freaking out. I remember one night, if she wasn't on my nipple, she was crying. And when she was on my nipple, I was crying on the inside because it hurt so much. My nipples got cracked and they started to bleed. Taking a shower was so painful. Wearing a t-shirt was so painful. That pain, in addition to the emotions that you feel after giving birth, in addition to having a small child to take care of, all of that really just made me burst out in tears every time I tried to breastfeed. I also noticed that in her diaper, she had like these bright pink spots, and I totally Googled it, and it's apparently uric acid that comes when babies are dehydrated. So of course, I'm freaking out, Googling everything about dehydration, breastfeeding, babies, everything. Of course, I stumble upon this horror story about this mother whose baby died after 15 days because she was dehydrated. She was trying to breastfeed and the baby wasn't getting anything. On the third day of Hazel's life, I woke up my husband at like 7 a.m. and I was like in tears holding her and she's crying and I'm like, I don't know what to do. We need to like take her back to the hospital or we need to call somebody because she's not getting fed and I'm freaking out and my nipples hurt so much. So luckily before the hospital discharged us, they gave us a whole bunch of resources and one of them was a page of breastfeeding resources. So I looked for that paper right away, called the first number that was on there, and this lovely lady named Terry picked up the phone and I lost it on Terry. I was like, hi, I just gave birth a few days ago and I don't know if I'm doing this right, but my nipples hurt so much and I don't think my baby's getting fed and I need help. I don't know what to do. And so Terry was like, as sweet as she was, calmed me down, was like, don't worry, honey, we will get you help. I have this amazing lady, her name is Laura. She lives in your city. Give her a call, see if she's available today. So I got in contact with Laura, and Laura was like, yes, I can be there at 4 o'clock today. So Laura came by that afternoon, and as soon as she walked into the house, I was bawling. I was topless, sweaty, gross. Hadn't washed my hair in a few days. Hazel was in her diaper trying to latch on, and I was just a mess. And Laura walked in as sweet as could be, and she was like, all right, let's figure this out. Before Laura came, I thought to myself, if she comes and tells me that there's nothing wrong and that everything is going fine with breastfeeding, I was going to completely lose it. She watched me try to breastfeed, and she immediately was like, you know what? It does seem like her latch is really bad. If your nipples are hurting and if you're bleeding and cracking, then the latch is not right. And that was the first time I ever heard that babies could have a bad latch. So basically we learned that Hazel did have a bad latch, so what were we gonna do? She wasn't getting fed. So Laura was like, well, do you have any formula? Luckily, Enfamil did send some products, so I had some formula on hand. So we decided to feed her some formula because fed is best. That's right, not breast is best or formula is best, fed is best. That moment that we gave her formula and she started suckling it down like she was so hungry, I just felt so emotional at that time because I knew my instincts were telling me that she wasn't getting fed. She was just starving. It was really, really emotional. So of course I broke down again. I was so happy and relieved that she was finally getting fed. So Laura said that Hazel probably had a tongue and a lip tie that was making it so that she couldn't latch on very well. So she recommended a local pediatrician who specializes in tongue and lip ties. So about a week or two after I met with Laura, we took her to this special pediatrician, and the pediatrician was like, yeah, she looks like she's got a bit of a lip tie and a bit of a tongue tie. I can cut that right now and send you guys home. Luckily, my husband came along because I was not prepared for the crying that I heard as they were cutting her tongue and lip tie. There were tears on her part and tears on mommy's part. So basically they just went in and just cut her lip tie and her tongue tie. So about the next couple of weeks I had to go in and massage it so that they wouldn't reattach. After we got the lip and tongue tie done, the pediatrician was like, be sure to breastfeed often because you want to get her used to latching on. By this time, my nipples had healed and I reluctantly put her back onto the breast. It wasn't as bad, it didn't hurt, and I was just worried now at this point that my milk production was down because I hadn't been breastfeeding. I'd been pumping every 2 to 3 hours at home to make sure that my supply wouldn't go down, which again is another extremely stressful thing about breastfeeding: milk production and making sure that you make enough milk. At this point, 5 months postpartum, I'm what I like to call a not enough supplier, because there are women who have an oversupply and have these beautiful freezer stashes that I am so jelly of. I still supplement with formula. After Hazel got her tongue and lip tie procedures done, things got a lot better in terms of our breastfeeding journey together. I wasn't as emotional about it. She was latching on like a champ. She was getting milk. I could hear her sucking and swallowing, so I knew she was getting fed. And at this point, 5 months later, we're at a really good place. At the time when I was really struggling in the very beginning, feeling like I was so alone and that I was the only one going through this and everyone else would just have a perfect baby that would perfectly latch onto their perfect breasts and the milk would come and everything would be great. But as it turns out, after I talked to a few of my mommy friends, I was not alone. They went through pretty much the same thing that I went through: cracked nipples, low milk production, and an overall feeling of inadequacy. It was a truly horrible feeling. It really was reassuring that I wasn't the only one going through this. And so now my number one advice to new moms and pregnant women is to find yourself a lactation consultant now. Someone that you can call as soon as you're home from the hospital, just so you can make sure that your breastfeeding journey gets off on the right foot. I was not able to talk about what I went through without shedding so many tears. Now I can talk about it and not cry because we are at a great place with breastfeeding. I did not think we would be able to breastfeed. I did not think we would be where we are now. You just gotta keep at it. You just gotta make sure there are no tongue ties or lip ties. You just gotta work on the latch. Baby will know what to do, and your boobs will make milk. It's so crazy what our bodies are able to do. Yeah, you're good at latching on now, aren't you? Yeah! Thanks guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you related to any of the things that I talked about. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel because I'm gonna come out with another video about breastfeeding, just offering my tips and suggestions and advice, and also talk about the products that I thought. Say bye-bye, Hazel! Say bye-bye. I love boobies. I love boobies. I love boobies. You like those boobies? Be sure to subscribe and like this video if you like boobies. Yeah, I know. Bye guys, thanks for watching.